Alright, close your eyes and listen. That is the iconic Biang Biang noise from noodle making, and I'm going to show you how to make that chewy, delicious noodle right at home. G'day guys, how's it going? Welcome back to Sam Kitchen. My name is Sam Lin. I am a home cook who's really passionate about sustainability and, more importantly, save money by making things at home, and hopefully that can be helping you do the same in your kitchen as well. So this week's recipe, I've been craving some Asian flavor and made me think of a noodle called Biang Biang Noodle that has been trending on the internet. I think it started originally from Xi'an, which is part of China, but it got its popularity over in New York City. It's salty, it's slightly acidic, it packs a punch, it's spicy, it's garlicky, it's all of the things that you want within a noodle, all concentrated, and then you can just slurp it right in your mouth. And I've been craving that, so I thought, why not give it a shot and try to make that at home. The ingredient list is super simple. It's flour, salt and water to really make our dough. No equipment is needed. We're just going to be using our bare hands and try to make chewy, delicious noodles. Hence this week's video, Biang Biang Noodle. It's a funny name, but the name comes from the slapping sound of pulling and slapping the noodle on the table. And as part of that, that really builds out the gluten within our noodles and make it nice and chewy and luxurious. Before you get into the recipe, if you can smash the like button down below, that would really help out my videos and my channel as well. And also leave a comment down below to see if you want to see more of the Asian recipes coming from me. Thank you very much for doing that, and let's jump right into it. To make our Biang Biang noodles, we can't make noodles without some good old flour. Just to keep the cost down here, we're just using some plain flour. If you really want the ultimate glutinous chewy noodles, go ahead and use some baker's flour. The higher protein content will help with gluten formation. Next, we got some room temperature water. Similar to the dough we made for udon noodles, some salt in the dough will help make it nice and chewy. 3 ingredients, that's all we need to make some Biang Biang noodles itself. To make it a full dish, we'll need some sauce and aromatics, some garlic and chili for the punchiness, some neutral tasting oil to bring out the aromatics, some soy sauce and also vinegar for the sauce. It's quite a bit for spread, but trust me, it's so worth it. We'll put them aside and get started. As always, we'll be working with a scale to be able to up or downscale the recipe really easily. For this recipe, we're going to make a 55% hydration dough. 50% is slightly on the tougher side, so 55 to 60 is a sweet spot for Biang Biang noodles. To make 2 to 3 portions of noodles, we're going to start with 200 grams of flour. With that, we want 2% salt, which is 4 grams for this instance. Give the dry ingredients a good mixing with a utensil of your choice. I choose a tiny whisk because I can. Next, to make a 55% hydration dough, we time 200 grams by 0.55, which gives us 110 grams of water into the flour. Once all is measured out, get your hand in and start mixing the dough together. The benefit of working with the lower hydration dough, like this one, is it's so easy to work with and really shouldn't be sticking at all once it's all combined. The dough should start clumping together after mixing for about a minute, and there should be no visible water in the mixture. The dough will be quite dry to start with. Trust the recipe and don't add any more water to the dough. Keep mixing it and transfer it onto your workbench once it's roughly combined. Knead the dough until there is no more loose bits. The dough at this stage should look a little bit rough and is perfectly normal. We'll want to let it rest for about 30 minutes for the flour to distribute the moisture and hydrate itself. Lots of recipes call for plastic wrap to cover and rest the dough. I've always just used a bowl or lid to cover it. It's small things like this, by avoiding unnecessary plastic usage, that will really help us reduce unnecessary waste. After the 30 minutes rest time is up, uncover the dough and we'll want to knead the dough for 3 to 5 minutes until it's smooth. The dough this time round should feel a lot more even and homogenized. When kneading tough doughs like this, make sure you keep your arms straight and apply body weight directly onto the dough, like what's shown on the left here. If your arm is bent like what I'm doing on the right here, there's energy wasted and you can injure yourself when working with a bigger batch of dough. Once the dough is nice and smooth, the dough should be nice and bouncy when you put your finger through it. It'll push back almost instantly. We'll let it rest for about 5 minutes. Coming back, if we just poke the dough again, it should be nice and relaxed. Next thing to do is grab a rolling pin and we'll roll the dough out into a rectangular shape at about 1 cm thickness. The reason for resting the dough for another 5 minutes is for the gluten to relax so we can roll out without it bouncing it back too much. Once the dough is rolled out to roughly 1 cm thick, try to shape it into a rectangular shape so we can portion it easier. We'll want to cut the dough into 2 to 3 portions depending on how big of a portion you want the one serve of noodle to be. The dough is about 310 grams, so I portion them into about 100 grams each. I didn't do a good job reshaping the dough, so I'm just giving the portion of dough a few more laminates to turn them into a smaller 1 cm thick rectangulars. Once that's all done, we want to spread some neutral tasting oil over our dough. We are going to let it rest for at least 1 hour up to 2 to 3 days, so a coat of oil will just prevent the dough from drying out. Spread the oil and make sure to coat both sides of the dough. Next, grab a container and we'll stack them up. Lid on, and we'll put it away in the fridge for at least an hour to relax the gluten. So it is the next day, and my doughs are super chillaxed now. I'm taking out one portion and let it warm up a bit before pulling it. While the dough is coming up to temperature, we'll load up a pot of water to cook our noodles. We want to drop the noodles in boiling water as soon as it's all pulled, so make sure we plan ahead for that. While the water is heating up on the stove, over here we've got our bowl where we'll make a quick sauce. We'll do 3 parts soy sauce or 30 grams, 1 part vinegar say 10 grams, and optionally 1 part oyster sauce. You can skip it and just keep the recipe vegan friendly. The sauce is super simple, just a bottle of flavour ready for the noodles to soak up. Put it aside and we'll get onto our aromatics. Mince up 3 to 4 cloves of garlic, and 2 bird's eye chili for some punchiness. If you're not a big spicy person, you can swap the fresh chili with some boring chili flakes. I won't judge. Once our sauce and aromatics are all prepped up, we'll get onto our noodles. First, grab a rolling pin again and roll it out just for the tiniest bit to get us a head start. Aim for like half a centimeter thickness. And next, grab the 2 ends of the dough, lift it up and gently flap the noodle on the table while pulling it out at the same time. This might take a little bit of practice, but to be honest, what you're seeing on the screen here was my first try, and it worked quite well. Once pulled to about arm length, it's pretty much done. Last thing to do is we'll rip the noodles in half. I did it stupid by ripping it from one end. The proper way is to rip it right from the center outwards, so be smart and don't be like Sam. Next, we'll drop our ripped noodles into boiling water and cook it for about 2 to 3 minutes. While the noodles is cooking, prep a separate pot, turn the heat on medium-low and add in about 20 grams of neutral tasting oil. Give the noodles a stir. It should only take about 2 to 3 minutes to cook. Best way to tell is by tasting it as always. Once the noodles are cooked, add it to our sauce bowl. Give it a good stir. Add our garlic and chili and we'll be pouring hot oil all over it to bring out all of the aromatics. Just listen to it. Some spring onion for garnish if you wish. The cost breakdown is as below. For 1 set for Biang Biang Noodles, 66 grams of flour at $1 per kilo equals to 6.6 cents. 1.33 grams of salt at 90 cents per kilo equals to 0.1 cent. 4 cloves of garlic is about 5 cents. 2 bird's eye chili at $10 per kilo equals to 1 cent. 20 grams of neutral tasting oil at $3.5 a kilo equals to 7 cents. 30 grams of soy sauce at $3.8 a kilo equals to 11.4 cents. 10 grams of vinegar at 70 cents per kilo equals to 0.7 cent. Altogether, one serve of Biang Biang noodles costed us 31.8 cents. Alright, and there we have it. That is our Biang Biang noodle done. Look at the thickness of the noodle, and it's just coated with the aromatic oil that we pull heaps of flavor out of the garlic and chili and even spring onion. The ingredient list is super straightforward. The required ingredients are 3-4 ingredients top, and it just takes some time, a little bit of effort to build up the gluten strength within the noodle to make it chewy, and obviously some time to let it rest in the fridge to make it usable. And the dough, once it's made, it can stay in the fridge for at least 2 to 3 days. Nothing in the dough is going to make it go off. So the noodle smells incredible, and I'm going to dig in. Nothing beats a freshly made pulled noodle. The authenticity, you just can't beat that with machine-made noodles. The unevenness of the noodle is, in my opinion, what makes it truly special. It's chewy, and it just takes on so much of the sauce that we put in. The slight tanginess from the vinegar combined with oyster sauce as well as soy sauce is delicious. And obviously the garlic, the chili just lifts it up to another level. I would really love for you to honestly give this a try. Skip the oyster sauce, and this is a vegan friendly meal that is packed with flavor, packed a punch. Honestly, it's so delicious. Anyway, I'm going to get back to my lunch. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a like and consider subscribing. I have a new video coming out on a weekly basis. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.